All right. We have our Boston GM with us, Craig, who is my longest running friend, and he finally joined us. I guess this is your second full season.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I kind of forced him into the OOTP world and into the league, and I figured his love for the game and competing and making teams would allow him to fall in love with his game. So slowly getting there, I'm sure, with some annoyance, frustration.
Yeah, a little bit.
But we were chatting personally through Slack, but then also he had a couple questions that was posted in the strategy channel, and I figured, why don't we link up and do a call and then kind of record it as a podcast, and then it's kind of like a win-win for everyone. But yeah, so we'll kind of skip the meet the GM, but I as a overhaul, but in a real quick synopsis, Craig, I'll give you kind of like an invite, or not an invite, but a quick kind of history. But we met all the way back in fifth grade, and we're 47, and you still 47? Yeah, you'll be 48 this year. Yep. So been a long time. Scott, who is our Cincinnati GM, also we met around the same time, same year. And yeah, we grew up super close. And I always say I'm closer to you than my brother. And yeah, and so no matter what it is, sports and life, we've always connected here. But you just moved, and that seems like it's going well. And I know baseball has become, just like me, like more and more of a love of a sport than than it was when we were younger, even though we liked it for a period of time. But it's kind of surpassed basketball and football and hockey and all that stuff. And so I'm glad you're enjoying this, and let me whoop your ass in some fancy leagues. But we won't hold on to the fancy leagues too long, because I don't want you to start fibbing. um, but you had a couple questions. We were talking a little bit about filters. We were talking about scouting, and you had just posted something about strategies. But while I popped on your team here, I was looking at your team info and things like that. And I don't know if you got a chance to go back, and I think it might have been the first or second podcast, Meet the GM, I did. It was with Rich, and he talked about how he uses the information for the ballpark factors a
Yeah, I
lot.
remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
So because I was thinking about your team, and I've been kind of just keeping an eye on it a little bit here and there, to see like how you're making out and see if I can help in some ways. And so it's funny because when I think of Boston, I usually always think of the monster,
Right.
uh, and the green monster, and then also that short porch in right field. And so it's kind of interesting, I think, like looking at these park factors, because home runs are suppressed, right? With one being the baseline. So
One.
basically,
Yeah, I thought one was the baseline.
yeah. So basically, it's saying you're not a home run friendly park.
Right.
However, for right hand batters, you are,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. But I would figure left hand batters would really, I guess left hand pull hitters would probably be beastly in your park.
You know,
Basically
my
with
my whole outfield's all left-handed bats. That doesn't help.
it doesn't. I mean, well, that's what I'm thinking. Like, it might not hurt if you are, if you are like pull hitters, right? So
Yeah.
me look at your graph chart. We were chatting earlier, and this is the newest file, which was today. So anything you exported won't show in here. So I can play with
Right.
this and
Yeah.
mess it
It
up.
looks different now.
Yeah. So we were chatting, kind of making sure you put backups here. But so if Hunter is your right fielder, and what I like to look at for the profiles is right here, right? The batted
Yeah.
profile ball, batted ball profile, and then the fly ball tendency. So he's I like this overall because it's not one dimensional. So
Right.
I love this, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to pull that ball, which is fine. What's Elijah Green? He's also lefty. He's a righty. Okay, so he's a righty. I know he just popped 3 home runs last game.
He's got some home run power.
Yeah, now he's a pull hitter, right? So
Right.
meaning that if he's going to do it, he's going to do it over that monster.
Right.
Um, and then who's your left fielder? Danny Coles, and he's also normal. So he's also kind of you know multi-dimensional in that case. How about
He's young. He's only 23.
yeah, saw that.
I was
All
kind of
right,
trying him out.
and then Ramos, who is your DH, fly ball hitter. when he does hit ground balls, extreme pull, fly ball tendency, normal. So he's also kind of, all over the place. It's interesting. I wonder if you have a pull hitter. Yeah, there you go. All right. So,
Long.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Jim Long, fly ball, and he's kind of mixed. He's a little bit of ground ball, a little bit of spray hitter. So I think if you found guys that were, you don't have to go for this strictly, but if you had like a power bat that was left-handed extreme pull, might be pretty decent for you,
Yeah.
kind of like a Kyle Schwarber type thing,
Right.
where
Yeah.
the only time he hits home runs pretty much is to right field.
Yeah.
But I do overall like the profile of this mixed here, the normal,
I've been struggling to figure out who to play where, and like, if you have five guys you like, but you only have, three outfield spots. I mean, like, do you play them? Do you play one every other day? Like, that doesn't really make sense in real baseball.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that like certain positions like center field, and you did it here, is defense first, and so I think that whoever your best defender is, if it in this case, like Green is by far your best outfield defender.
Yeah.
So he plays every day, all the time, unless he's tired.
Yeah.
Um, but I think ultimately you play the guys who are the most consistent, and so sometimes that's like these younger guys. Like maybe Coles he's young, but he's actually pretty darn developed. When you look here, he doesn't really have much further to go, if at all. And
Yeah.
so he's fine to play every day.
That's why I was going to try him out this year and start him.
Yeah. I love I don't know if you ever listened to the Rates and Barrels podcast with Enos
Yeah.
Harris.
Yep.
They do a great thing. They don't do it all the time, but they do a thing called build a bench. And so, they basically set up a roster. So they go through kind of like what you and I were doing, like, all right, if you have this many pitchers and you have this many hitters, how do you build out your 26-man roster?
Right.
And so I always kind of like to look at it as I know I need at least 4 outfielders. And so, ideally my 4th outfielder can also be a center fielder, or I can move one of these guys into that center field position in the time that Elijah Green needs a day off, so
Right.
like looking at your guys, I would say I'm just quickly looking at your outfielders here. So Meza, Ramos, he's the least of the outfield range. And Long, I would say, like, I would kind of put Hunter right now in your current setup. If there's no other roster moves, I would say Hunter would be your backup center fielder, right?
Right.
And in that case, when Elijah Green needs off, at least you have a guy with the most range out there.
Yeah.
And then Meza could basically be your main backup for left and right field. And then probably put, I forget who has more. Ramos is 40 range and decent arm. Long is 45 range, pretty much the same. So I'd probably do, and this is where it kind of depends, like who for you is like more important as, your other bench guys, meaning that let's say you put Long as, your second backup in each of these spots, right? So in scenario of a game like where Coles gets hurt or Hunter gets hurt or they pinch hit or whatever, they get kicked out of the game for calling balls and strikes, then the computer is going to say they're going to put in Mesa, but maybe they pinch hit or they have Petrushka come in, they'll move Long to left field and let Petrushka come up to first. So that's kind of where I think the second part of it has to be based around like how you're going to build your infield. So that is that puzzle together,
Yeah, I've been working on that the last 2 days.
Yeah, right. And it's great. I think this dude, I wish his middle name, his nickname was Iron.
Right.
But I like this dude. I was saying to you in the off season, like I like this guy as a utility player, right? He's your guy who fills in because, and he can't play shortstop, but he can play first, third, and I'm sure you could put him at second, even though his turn double play is really low.
Yeah.
But I love his on base percentage options here.
I was using Killian, I think, for that too.
Let's see.
his numbers I don't think are bad.
Yeah, no, I like him too. Yeah. So to me, like I think I was saying this on Slack. I probably lose this Petrushka dude
Yeah,
because you need a backup catcher here.
I already dropped him.
Yeah, I dropped him. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I like the fact that he's a captain
yeah.
and his bat's fine,
I think
but
that's why I originally signed him.
yeah. I mean, he rakes left hand pitchers, you
Yeah,
know.
I was looking for like, the leadership aspect of
Hmm.
things.
Yeah, yeah. And I like that. Or, trade one of these other guys that maybe I mean they're pretty solid though.
I know
But
I like all of them. I know I like them
yeah,
all. I was struggling to fit them all in.
yeah, yeah. But I think out of all of them, I think that Petrushka is probably the most expendable as far as like his bat and fielding. He's only one dimensional. He's only going to play
Right, he can
first.
only play one base, right?
Yeah. Whereas, this dude, you're starting third baseman.
Well, he's a rookie. He hasn't even played yet.
Yeah. So he's probably better at first, frankly. But
Good words.
yeah, I mean he's got the arm, but he probably eventually moves to first base.
Yeah, I don't know if he's even ready to play yet. He was one of the top prospects.
Yeah, yeah, I see that 28th overall. No, I mean he's ready. He's
He looks pretty close, right?
yeah, he's fully formed.
Okay.
um, but like what I don't like about it is its 40 range, and I get it. Like you have guys that have to play there. I do it when I need to. I'll put if I'd rather have Long in the lineup than not, so you put him at first base, and that means you need to put Wirtz at third, but this dude Sheik is pretty solid. He's definitely better defensively
Yeah.
than the other than your current third baseman, but he can play first, third. You probably train him at second,
Yeah.
and he's a perfect guy. I would say right now you have Danny Coles. I mean, I know this changed, but you have Coles as your first guy off the bench to pinch hit, but he's actually your starter. So if it's me, I put Sheeks as the first guy to
Yeah,
pinch hit.
I think that's what I had. I
Yeah.
think I actually have Sheik at first base right now.
Okay. Yeah. And then who'd you sit though?
What?
Who'd you sit? Long?
Long, yeah.
Okay.
And that's what I was struggling with. Long, Ramos, Hunter, and Coles.
I mean, I would say like right
Like
now, I
all
like
four of
look at
them.
Long's right hand pitcher. I mean, he's just a monster.
Yeah.
So I think versus righties, you got to start him. Versus
I think when I did daily lineups, I put him in against all right-handed pitching.
yeah. Now versus lefties, I might put in Sheik,
Yeah.
and then that gives Long a day off, and you
Yeah.
get better defense there.
Well, that's
So
what I was trying to play with. Yeah.
yeah. Do you do this copy depth charts?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
For daily lineups.
No. For so right now we're looking at right hand pitchers,
Yes.
and so if you copy this, and then go to left and then paste it. Did I not copy it? Hold on. So copy and then paste. Now it just duplicates what you did, but now you can
Yeah.
tweak it. So I would do like this, right?
Yeah.
And then just, add it. And then if a guy that is better against lefties and righties, tweak it that way. Now here's the tricky thing. It's one thing I learned the hard way about this game. Right now I'm in left-hand pitchers versus, the whole league's DH. So we don't have to worry about non-DH lineups. But if you wanted to go in and take a peek at any of these guys, no matter how you do it, if you do it over here on the active roster page, or if you did it over here, and let's just say you wanted to see the defense or, how they fare against left-hand batters, like let's say how's Wirtz against left-hand batters. Right now, remember, we're in left-hand pitcher up here.
Right.
If I click into this guy and do anything with him, doesn't matter. I could just click on once. Now, when I go back, it resets to right-hand batters.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so many times I've screwed myself because I forget that, and then I change the thing thinking I'm still left-hand batters.
I think I did that.
Yeah. So
I think I did that.
That's a key thing. So you always want to double check. So I try to remember, okay, if I go in and look at how is the new guy Coles versus lefties, I go in, I look, he's all right. And then I go back.
When you go back, it's that right-handed pitching.
Reset. Yep.
Yeah.
So beware of that.
Yeah, that confused me earlier.
Yeah. But I would say in the way I'd build your lineup, it would be I'd probably sit Long versus lefties.
Yeah.
And put Sheik in there.
That's what I was trying to play with.
Yeah. And so that's key. But I think you did a great job with, you got Green in center, defensive wizard, gives a little pop, great speed. And then you have, this is a huge upgrade, I think, for you at shortstop this year, and his bat's not awful.
Yeah, I like him. I like him.
Defense first in those two positions,
I forget who I had last year, but I like this guy better.
Yeah, 100%. I forget the name, but I remember like he was all right.
Yeah.
And then John Hankins, someone we actually grew up with. Same name, not the player. Yeah. But I like him at second, and he's got a good bat here. And so he's great.
I like all the bats. I mean,
me too.
I'm mostly struggling with pitching. I can't.
And you have good pitchers.
I feel a little bit better after I looked at some other teams today.
It can help. And some of it is the strategies and positionings of the players, right? And of course, we've only had 3 games, or some people have had less, but I think you'll see a massive improvement in your pitchers with a better shortstop, a better center field all season. And then, your catcher's really good. So those 3 things are huge for your pitchers right off the bat.
I don't think you can just weigh everything on the bars. Like I was kind of weighing everything on the bars.
No, you don't. You use it as a guide. I mean, it's no different from how we judge MLB players, right? We look at a guy like
but I'm not looking at bars on the MLB player.
In a way, we are.
I'm just watching the player play.
Right, but still, to some degree, like let's say a guy like Spencer Torkelson comes up, the guy's a monster. We look at him we look at his, at his ratings to some degree, or Jared Kelenic, the guy was #1 prospect, was projected to be a beast. Johan Moncada was projected to be the great next superstar, had all the skills. And sometimes they perform it, sometimes they don't. Whereas a guy like maybe like Spencer Strider kind of comes out of nowhere, wasn't a top prospect, didn't have crazy stuff, not actual stuff, but pitching. And then now he's probably considered top 5 pitcher in MLB baseball,
Yeah.
And so I think it's similar where, you have to find a balance between, these pretty blue bars or whatever, whatever they are, versus the performance,
Yeah, well, that's what I was looking at when I was looking at other teams. I'm like, wait a second, my guy's bars are better than this guy's bars.
Yeah.
But he had a 1.3 ERA last year, and I had a 4.25 ERA last year.
But last year you had weak center field defense to start.
Right.
You had weak shortstop defense, and your catcher wasn't great.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. I think you'll see improvement from those 3 things. We can dig into like some of your pitchers, and maybe we do that another time as well, because I already think you're on the right path here. But real quick, while we're on your team, let's say we go to strategies, right?
Strategies, yeah.
I'm not going to mess with your strategies. I'll show you mine, so just so you see how I do it. But one thing I noticed right here, your starting pitcher max count is at 80.
Yeah.
I would, if that's a global thing, I would probably set this to 0, and then you go in and set it like you are here.
Yeah, that's what I do. I do it there.
But this is almost kind of like,
oh, I didn't even know that was there. That was set at 80.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if
last year, that's why pitchers kept getting pulled early. I'm like, why are they getting pulled when I haven't set it 100 pitchers?
Yeah. So make sure you go in the strategy and put that at 0.
All
right. Unless you have like an overall, but to me, I'll show you my guys, and I baby like my pitcher Gadish, because he's fragile. So I have him less than the other guy. So I don't want it as like an overall, and then, your use of openers. If you're not doing it at all, you could really pull it all the way back, or just leave it in the middle.
Does anybody in the league use openers?
They do. They have. I can't say if anyone currently is.
I thought about playing with maybe trying it out for fun.
Yeah, I have never done it. I tried early on, and I just got frustrated with it. I'm not the right person to ask that, but we can post it in the strategy of in the Slack thread and see if someone else comes up with it.
Yeah.
Wow,
crazy.
But these remember, these are overalls, so you can set these as overalls, but I might also just set them inside the individual pitchers.
So that right there is the percentage you guys were talking about when a batter is 75% tired.
It is, but
or
the
25% tired.
75%, yeah. But the difference is, I'm going to switch to my team real quick to show you how my setup is. And I haven't touched this in a long time, but you'll see
That
have it.
means when they're really tired, right? Not a little bit tired.
Yeah, that means when they reach 75%, like, yeah, so 25% like off of
Right,
full energy.
25%, right?
Basically, if you want to look at it like that,
Right, because it says it's when you look at a player, it says they're at 100%.
right.
So
So
you want
yeah,
to
so if they get,
basically yank them when they're down to 25%, not 75%,
no,
right?
it'll yank them at 75%. So basically, like, they're not half yet used of energy, they're 1/4 used of energy.
Oh, and that's when you pull them out.
Yeah, but you don't have to do that for everyone. I don't
All
do
right.
that for like my durable guys or my Iron Men. I do it for, I know I say the word iron kind of weird.
What do you
Jess
do
always makes
with
fun of me.
how many percentage with your Iron Man?
I'll show you. I'll go into my guys.
All right.
Um, I usually don't touch it for those guys personally. But here's my settings, right? You'll see I just have them all zeroed out. And that's mainly because I'm going to do it individually. And then I actually just went through and I personalized my settings for how I want to play. And I didn't use I didn't use a preset. Um, Not that you can't, but I
Yeah,
just went,
you made your own.
yeah, correct. And some of this is probably outdated, right? So we don't have pinch hitter for pitchers, and some of it depending on your coach. Now we are the coach in this league, so but some coaches in certain leagues where we actually have a coach, you can't even touch it. But I don't have this set up really much differently than my infield shifts and outfield shifts, but I do that individually. But I mostly play with my stealing bases and my my hit and runs and stuff like that. But every team's a little different. Like I have a lot of speed on my team. I don't really think your team is built with that much speed, so you might not steal
No.
bases as much,
Right. Yeah.
But inside player strategy, now here's you do this a couple different ways. I went inside player strategy, and you can just drag any player down in here. Let's just say like,
I've never been here.
yeah, you drag them actually in this case, you drag them over here, right?
Uh,
And now this is the same thing if you went into the player profile that you would
yeah.
see.
Right.
Yeah.
You
So
can go to their strategy.
correct. So just different ways to get there. So just to show you that way to feel comfortable with it. If you're looking at my roster, and I'll show you my depth chart here, then let's say like a guy like Tatis, right? His injury proneness is wrecked. I have him now set to bench at 75%. And I
So
just
he's at 100. He's at 100% now. So if he gets below 75 cents, they bench him.
correct. So basically it's probably like maybe after 3 games, 3-4 games.
Right.
But I usually use daily lineups anyway, so I kind of manually do that. I'm trying to save him. I'll put him at DH for a game. I'll put him at
Yeah.
first base for a game.
Yeah.
They're a little less wearing than third base, which is where he's playing now. But I went in here and I adjusted these strategies personally for him. Whereas, let's say a guy like
I've done that. Yeah.
yeah, Hoff. Hoff is I think he's durable. He was at least at some point he was durable. He's a little bit older now. He's 33, but I don't have his rest status at anything, So
Right. He just plays.
he just plays. Yeah. A guy like Colt Palmer, he's his second year. Same thing. I don't have his rest status at anything, but I do use the daily lineups every time. So I will switch in and out. How, like for example, if I was to do my daily lineups here, I just come in and I paste. All right.
Yeah.
Let's say for this game, I'm going to look at my catcher. My catcher's at 96%. Right. So Monday he's going to play. And then Tuesday I'll pull my catcher in and sit him. Now, just to show you real quick, I'll probably play my catcher the next 3-4 games. And then on this day, I'll,
Swap in the other guy.
correct. Yeah. And then in here, now I'm going to pick and choose my spots with Tatis, right? So let's say Tatis right now, where is he? He is 100%. And I'm playing Arizona. It's a huge series for me. Then I'm going to play him here. I'm playing him on Wednesday. I'm definitely playing him against the lefty on Tuesday. And then Friday, I'm going to sit him.
Give him a break. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. And then this is where I like the versatility of teams. So now I have this dude, Tolentino, who can play, 2 spots short if really needed. And same thing with Palmer. And now I can put these guys like where I want. I can put him at second. I can put him at third, things like that. And so that's kind of the way I like to build it. And use daily lineups to sit because I do have some fragile guys like this dude, you know. And then I like to look to see how are they versus, like, this guy rakes right-hand pitches. So I never sit him against righties if I can afford
Right.
to. But against lefties, he's okay. And my other outfielder, my other corner outfielder, is this Ibanez guy, and he is good against righties, but he's not awful against lefties.
Right.
So if I had to sit one of my outfield guys against lefties, I would choose that Bellin dude.
Yeah.
And that's where I put a guy like this in, who's my backup outfielder, and he's pretty good against both. So that's kind of the way I like to run strategies, um and then handle the rest, if certain percentage guys. If you don't really have that many fragile guys, I wouldn't really sweat it that much.
Right.
Real quick, going back to my pitchers. Sorry, what am I trying to do? Dodgers pitching. You'll see, like, my staff here, I'm still building up because I've only had one start from a couple guys.
Right.
But Godish is fragile. So I have him, I think my pitch count on him is ends up being like 90 pitches, I think. And I might even lower that. And his stamina is pretty low. His stamina is like borderline starter, really. So I only know I'm going to get like 5 innings from him, basically. maybe 6.
Still, the website looks different on your computer for some reason. I don't know why.
You mean the website, or like what you see, like, rating wise?
Like, I don't know, just the way it's set up, maybe.
Okay. We have different setups, but we do have different scouts. So, like, what I see from what you see from your scout and my scout will be vastly different.
Like, see how under rest status it says, well, under status it says, okay, fragile, 4% exhausted.
Yeah.
0 pitches today, 71 pitches yesterday. I don't think I have that on mine.
You could just click it between here.
Yeah, I know, but under status, mine, I don't think says that.
You might be able to change that in screen setup. Yeah. Because
maybe it does, but I don't think so.
That's what's kind of cool, is that you can always change, like, the different screen setups on what you view, even these stats. You can view all types of different splits, and and how you view the page itself. That we can chat about that another time, but I kind of leave it at the default, basically. But
trade me that Goddess guy. I like him.
He's a beast.
God damn.
Hey, just fragile. Arizona had him and dominated me for a couple of years.
Oh, I love that Cripps guy. I was looking at that Cripps guy
from Washington.
I'm so pissed I didn't get that guy. He looks awesome.
Yeah, he's a monster. Oh yeah, so each scout's different, right? So I'm on your team right now, so I'm viewing your scout. If I switched it to my scout, you'll see how it differs.
Oh, you could do that. You could change it to other team scouts for each player.
Only because I'm in as the commissioner setup.
Oh, okay.
So, but I kind of forgot that I forgot that I was under your Boston team. But that's kind of the unique thing, is each scout's a little different.
Yeah.
So when it comes time for scouts, like, let's say, I don't know why it's on Angels, but I must have messed that up. But let's say we go to my front office and my personnel. Where am I going? Front office, personnel. So my scout is basically what he's scouting preference is neutral, meaning that some scouts are heavy on tools and some scouts are heavy on ability. And if I had to choose one of those, I would always go tools personally, but everyone's a little different with this. So I kind of like the neutral aspect. And then they show, the level that they're good at. In this case, like, this dude's a monster, right? You okay if I go to your scout real quick?
Yeah.
So in your case, let's say we went to, front office personnel. We go into your scout. So he likes ability. So a little different than the actual tool aspect. Right. So when we're looking at the bars, he's not really looking at that as much,
Right.
And he's pretty good at everything, so. And when the time comes for, like, your scout, so his contract's up the end of this year, right? So I think he's good enough to probably keep, but you can always look to see if you go into reports and info, or sorry, where are we here? Okay, sorry. If you go into reports and info and then available personnel, right, under the main CQBL here,
Right.
then you can see
All
scouting
the
director.
available.
Yeah, correct. And you can see like what their preferences are, what they're good at. Now, this dude's pretty good, this Al Hall,
Can you fire one mid-season and hire a new one?
You can, yeah. Okay. This guy looks like he was the last Reds guy.
Oh, Wallace just got rid
Mm-hmm.
of him.
Yeah. Yep. So so it kind of depends on like what's important to you. And you can always change what you're viewing here. I think we did this a little bit when we are looking at
It did,
coaches.
yeah.
Yeah. And you can edit the views. So you can personalize them to what you want, which is kind of cool. Yeah. But one of the things we chatted about that I was originally trying to help you with was
scouting.
how to scout. And so what I like to do is, let's say this is the rookie draft here, right? So go in the rookie draft.
So that's
And
coming up soon, or
yeah, I'm going to upload it tonight or tomorrow. Yeah, we'll start it. So what I like to do is a couple things here. I use filters a lot. So I always like to make sure there's no filters on. And filters are a lot like how when it reset on the depth chart, right-hand batter versus left-hand, I'm sorry, left-hand pitcher versus right-hand pitcher, how it reset. Filters the same way. So if I filter something here and then I go into another screen, it's still going to have that filter on. So I've kind of learned the hard way to always take that filter off. And then I always make sure it's all players, and I always make sure that it's under my scouting director, So in this case, what I like to do is right now I have it set up where I edited this screen, and I have this set up the way I want it. And I could probably avoid some of this stuff too. Like I actually don't really care about their birth dates. I could probably get rid of that. But you can change where these are. You can change which ones are shown. And I think it's worth playing with that a little bit. And it will stay like that until you adjust it. But you can save it as as a screen. We don't care about signability because we actually don't have the draft signability like they do in MLB. You draft a guy, you get him. And so the scouting accuracy is kind of the one thing I'm looking for here. And basically, this is all the players. We can see up here to the top right, there's 1,200 players in the draft pool, right? Anyone with an asterisk next to his name is a high school player. And you can also kind of tell by age. But usually what I like to do is use filters. So I'm going to say, let's start with anyone scouting accuracy that is very low. Well, there's no one in the pool that your scout has a very low accuracy. Right. So you could add on, but in this case, just keep it simple. I'm just also going to say, okay, let's check out any scouting accuracy that's low. You have no one in there, which is great. So one more time, let's do average. And then now you come up with 90 players. Right. And so over to the far left, you can do this on any page that has guys on it. Far left, you just click the top button here and it selects all these guys. And then come close to the name, right click, and then you can hit request scouting report. And then it will say 90 players have been added to your scouts task list.
Oh, wow.
And you can view these. And so let's say we just wanted to do that for whatever reason. Come down to your Red Sox, go to your scouting task list, and you can see basically who's in line and when, and you can move them. I personally never do that unless like I was trying to make a trade and like I really wanted this guy all the way down here that was in 2 weeks to be first. I would move him up, but I've probably done that once in all the seasons I played.
Right.
And it will tell you up here, basically with like 90 players or so, your scout will be busy scouting task list players, and normal scouting may impacted. So whatever he does normally, he's probably not going to have it because he's just too tied up with this stuff,
Right.
And so I like to make sure that like as soon as that draft class comes out, that basically every sim I'm sending him out to scout more guys. So as you saw, like by the scouting task list, basically
we only scouted the average ones, right?
So far, yeah, correct. But that's kind of a good thing because the next setup, if we customize, he's going. If let's say we change this to high, high is pretty good. You only have 47 players, so we could do that too. All right. And
we already know they're good though, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, ideally, if you can get them very high, that'd be great. It's the highest you can get, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, of course, right? I go, and that's why I go in order: low, very low, low, average. But now we just add another 47 to your task list, and I would just that'll probably take a couple weeks, so another sim or two, I'll just add more guys. but you can do this in any way you want. Like, it doesn't have to be just a rookie draft, but I think for the rookie draft, it's huge. But I do this a lot for, let's say, sign a free agent. All right. So some of these free agents I might not have like highest, let's say like this guy, Eloy Jimenez. You only have an average draft, scouting of him. You could add him to your scout list, and you can do it a couple ways, but right in action. So you just request scouting report, and it will say, all right, in 4 weeks, you'll have a higher, scout of him, basically, but I do this a lot for when we're coming into the off season, like let's say August and September, the far right here where it says upcoming free agents, I'll see who's upcoming. I'll do the same thing with the filters. And then I'll make sure that come off season that I have guys like this, whatever, like Tatis or Bocic or guys like that, that I have a high accuracy of them. That way, come free agency.
Your scout will come back with a report on those guys.
Yep, and you can read them if you want. I don't personally.
Yeah, I see why that would be important and valuable.
Yeah, exactly. Mostly like during trades,
Yeah.
So like, let's say right now, Luke Davis, right? Let's say you're trying to make a trade for him. You have a low accuracy of him. It means that there could be a big swing of what his ratings really are.
Right.
You can look at his stats, and that's going to help you see what he's done. But I would bounce back and forth a little bit. Okay, let me see what OSA has, and they're kind of the same. But I also
I've done that. Yeah, I've done that a couple of times.
I also don't really trust them, And so, if you were like trying to make a trade with someone, or maybe sign this guy as a free agent, I would definitely put a scouting report out on him.
Okay.
So you can either do it through the actions when you're inside the player profile.
Yeah, I've done it with quite a few guys.
Yeah. Okay. Good. But you can always do it here. You just got to right click.
Right.
I'll even do it. Let's go to your roster here, and I'm going to go to your international complex. You have 13 guys in there.
I did it with a couple of them guys. So.
Yeah. So you could do it individually, but you can also just click this whole thing right here.
The whole thing and scout it.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
See how it says 13 players?
Yeah.
So that part's really key. And then filters. Filters is, I think, really important. And let's just use the rookie draft. That's just for fun here, right? So let's say we're in this pool. Let's say it's your pick. Now, remember I said the filters stay on here?
Yeah.
You can save filters. And so I like to do that. I like to save like filters so I don't have to keep redoing it, where I have, scout low accuracy or whatever, filter bad personalities out. And so you can save them rather than have like to manually do it all the time. So it's something like, the more you do it, the more you realize I don't want to keep having to set this setting up. Right? And so you can, in here, you can, let's see, hold on. Sorry. Here you can change anything you want, right? You can change, I have potential and scouting up a lot because they're like what I do mostly, meaning that a lot of times I'm saying, all right, let's find guys that are average accuracy, but at least, 50 potential. Wow. And because in that way you weed down, the 9, you get it down to like 9 players, right?
Yeah.
Less of a task. So this is good when you're doing a bulk thing, but oops, sorry. Let me go back into your draft pool here. But you can set this up in so many different ways where, let's say we want to do, hold on a second. We want to customize this. A clear filter. Yes. Come on. And we want to customize it. So now what we want to do is we want to choose which option we want. Let's just say and you can pick any of these options for what you want. So let's just say we want, how about a captain, right? We want someone that is, try to find their personality. It's kind of, I forget where that's listed exactly.
Miscellaneous info, maybe, or leader ability.
Yeah, that might be it. Or personality it is. Yeah. All right. So let's say this, right? Now it's going to pick out, there's no captains in here because they're still young guys.
They're kids. Yeah.
Yeah. But maybe there's a disruptive guy. No, that's good too.
There's no Scott Wallace's in there.
There's no Scott Wallace's in there. Maybe they're spark plugs. Yeah. No, none of these guys. Wow. Let's just do it in, I'm striking out on all fronts. Let's do that in free agency. All right.
All right, yeah.
Now
Plenty
let's,
of disruptive guys out there, probably.
right, exactly. Personality. Let's say you're really looking for a captain, you
Yeah.
know, now you pop up these guys right away, right? Which is kind of cool. Or let's say you're looking for someone with great D on shortstop, or center field, or whatever it may be. Then you can customize these however you want. So maybe you got a captain and you're looking for a catcher,
Jesus Christ.
yeah. So catcher and personality is captain. Okay. Yeah, these four guys.
Wow.
Right. But I
That's
really
cool.
I really prefer mostly to use it. I'm going to switch to my team real quick just to give it a different look here. I really mostly use this when I'm scouting things like the draft pool. Now, remember, my filter's on again. So when I come in, if I don't remember, I'm like, oh, there's no guys in here. So I got a clear filter. And now we have all these guys. And let's say I just want to, I'll do things like, let's start with guys that are at least 45 potential, and the scouting accuracy is average, you know, or in this case, we got to kind of pretend because I did a lot of scouting already, but my scout is high. So now I know that I'm just going to get down to these, whatever it is, 11 guys. So the filter aspect can be kind of pretty big. Let's say
Yeah.
you and I are making a trade, right? And you want to come into my roster, and you're looking for guys that are whatever they are, Iron Man, durable, captains. Like if you're looking for something specific, filters is the way to go,
Yeah.
So I think the filters is pretty powerful, and you can save them. So you keep coming back to it. So for trying to think of another scenario that we would use it every day, but I would say for me, when I'm scouting or looking for something specific, that's where when I come into those filter aspects.
That's pretty key.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. We covered a lot of stuff really quick. What did we hit? We hit strategies. Did you have any questions on that?
No, I don't think so. I just got to keep playing with it.
Yeah. Rookie draft, right? I know I tried to show you how I upload it. I can show you again. Won't do that now. But that way you can reference, like right now I'm in a draft where I have everything listed in Stats Plus, but I sometimes will still come back here and reference it.
Yeah, sometimes I get confused between the Stats Plus and the site.
It's hard because Stats Plus doesn't list it by potential, and that's fine. They just list it by the individual, whatever filter you're looking at, the
Yeah,
contact.
it's different, right?
It is
Or,
different, yeah. And the main, there's a couple of reasons behind it, but they've gotten better, and you can open up the individual player profile on Stats Plus. You just got to go through like a screen or two. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick.
yeah, I've done that.
Right.
I've gotten there.
So you can see, some of the important details.
Yeah, you
Sometimes
just right. It just looks different.
it looks different. It's a little more clicking around,
Yeah,
so it's not as obvious. Um, but it still can be pretty helpful.
I don't understand how you trade on Stats Plus though, or how do you put a trade through on there?
Similar to here, right? So let's say you and I,
So
yeah, I'll show you both. Let's say you and I are making a trade, and real quick, because I think I have it set up where you can only see, oh, sorry, QBL. I think you can't see this screen, right? You can only see my OOTP. Is that correct?
yeah, that's all I say.
Okay. All right. Let me change that real quick. Screen share, desktop one. Okay. All right. So yeah. Okay, perfect. Now you can see the Stats Plus.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So there's a couple options in here, right? I don't know if have you played with the trade block at all?
Not at all, no.
All right, I'll show you super quick. So league, trade block. Again, same thing with this filters here. This is OSA.
Yeah,
I always have to make sure I click it to this. And then you
right.
can also do current or potential, right? And so this is where who's actually on the block right now. And you can change, let's say you want 100 people on the screen so you can see more. This is currently who's on the trading block. I always recommend putting your trading block through Stats Plus over inside the game, because you put them in the game, they get pissed off. They give
How though?
well, because I mean, let's say the
No,
Phillies were
how do I put it on here and not through
uh
OTP?
yeah, I'll show you. So you can go into your team. You can do that a couple different ways. You go through standings. You can also just click up here where for me it says LED.
Yeah, I haven't played with any of this.
All right. So let's say you go in now. Now it starts by default onto my MLB team. But over to the left here, I can go into any of these areas, right? Any of these parts of my organization. Any guy
Yeah.
with this blue arrows next to it means he's on the block, right? And so
Oh, that's
you,
cool.
yeah, so you can come in, let's say Zach Carter, right? He's on the block. I can take him off the block, player remove from trading block, right? Let's say in my AA, I have a guy who I might consider trading here. Let me see. Where is he? Do you move? Whatever. I'll just show you for the sake of it. Let's say I'm going to trade Ruben, the man, Ruben Cerna. All right. I click on it. I hit block. Right. You can do this as many parts as you want, like through your organization, as many players as you want. When you're ready, go to league, go to trade block, and then post my trade block.
Post my trade block.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now
And
you can't do this same thing on the OTP.
you can, but the advantage to this is that when you put them on inside the game, the players know it. So let's say the Pirates are going to shop Brian Reynolds before they sign him to a contract, right? Like the player knows it, the fans know it, the player's a little bit disgruntled, it's just like it. You don't want to ruffle the feathers of the player,
Right.
and make it, you'd rather do it here. And then when you go into let's see if we can get there real quick. When you go into our Slack, scroll down, now you go to our trade block. Now these guys are listed here, right? And so it pops up into our Slack trade block, and you could click on these. This is the guy I just posted, brings you back to it,
Okay.
yeah. You can go into his profile, and then his OOTP page, which is listed where, there you go, OOTP player page. And now this looks more like what we've seen before, inside the game. It shows you some of his personality, it shows you his potential, all that kind of stuff, But going back to here, so that's how you post a trade block. Highly recommend doing that. Again, not inside the game, because it's just gonna ruffle the feathers. If you want to put a note next to the guy, you can. So let's say here, great D.
So what now? If any other owner comes in here to look at this guy, they'll see this.
Yeah. And now I just posted the trade block. I think you can only do it every, yeah. So can only do it every 5 days, right? So that way you're not like spamming the thing. But any of these notes will pop up inside of Slack. My guy didn't, because I didn't have the notes. But if you scroll through here, see these notes here.
Yeah.
This was done through those notes that we just saw here.
Right.
Or here, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so so then this trade block just automatically populates inside Slack, which is great. So and then trading's the same way. I don't think you've made a trade yet, right?
No, I don't even know how.
Which is fucking amazing for you, by the way. It's like your all-time record of being in a league and not making a trade.
I know.
Don't
tell everybody else. Don't tell everybody else that.
Not a bad thing, but you're kind of just getting your feet wet, But same thing. So we go into trade tool, and now this is kind of mimics what it looks like inside the game.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Let's say you and I are making a trade, right? So now you just choose a level of the player. Let's say you're trading me this reliever. All right, click on that dude. I'm trading you Fernando Tatis. And then what will happen? He's got no trade clause, but whatever. Then you hit review proposal. It gives you some of the info. I'm going to send this to you, and you'll see what happens. I hit send, and then if you look on your Slack, you will actually
I heard something on my phone.
Yep. You'll have a thing inside your Slack bot, and it'll say, go review it and accept it or decline it. I'm going to withdraw it before you hit accept.
I'm not going
Cheat,
to accept.
cheating little
But
bastard.
you can't do that. So this is the only way for me to accept or do trades is through Stats Plus.
It's the way that
the league prefers it.
Yeah, well, there's a two-part to it. The one part, obviously, you can negotiate with whoever you're talking to, right? Trade wise, you're talking to me, you're talking to Andy, you're talking to Scott. You guys agree upon a trade. Once that trade's agreed upon, that you submit it just like I did in Stats Plus, and then basically once the other person confirms it, like you just got in Slack, then that basically confirms it where you guys both agreed upon it. You saw everything, you accepted it, both sides agree, and that's the main like step. But this next part is one of you guys, and it's usually discussed in the trade. Usually it's kind of like, hey, I'll do it through Stats Plus and you do it inside the game, or sometimes like you're more available and you can do it both ways, but you still do have to do it inside the game. Yeah, so you do it just like this. Make a trade. I come to your team. I'm here. I'm going to trade you fucking Tolentino. You're going to trade me this Bobo, and it's going to tell you blah blah blah, and then you submit offer, and then it tells you, please export your team to officially submit the offer. And then what happens is when the commissioner runs a sim, then I'll see these things here.
You'll see trades.
I'll see trades, and then I can complete it.
I got you.
In this case, I'm going to delete it, although I'm not going to work off this computer anyway. And so, yeah, so it's a two-step process with the trades, but Stats Plus is basically a workaround. So you don't have to handwrite it in Slack. Everyone knows what's going on. The league is notified, and then you guys just do it through the league. Yeah. So
that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. There used to be, basically, in order to like make it really fair, there used to be a lot of like there's some house rules, and there's some kind of like processes that would make it doable and fair for everyone. Like one of those being, as you see in our trade area, let me pull it up here. Completed trades. You'll see that basically people will add in the reasoning here. And we actually don't have that as a league rule. It's just so common in leagues that you have to put your reasoning, so that way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that way everyone understands. Now, Stats Plus has done a good job because this didn't always exist. This trade tool didn't exist until maybe a year ago or so. And so you had to handwrite all that stuff,
Okay.
And then this rule here, where you'll see that I post this each time, is just like a house rule that we have, where basically instead of vetoing or everyone voting on every trade or not having a say at all, the idea is just like it's a fail safe where if something really seems off, maybe that's collusion, or you never know. I mean, there could be there could be a scenario where a person runs two teams and we don't even know it. There could be, Craig's running one team, and then you create another email account and you call yourself, Billy, and you never talk in Slack and never do this. So it's kind of designed where there's at least some fail safes. Obviously we hope no one ever does that. And
but still, I like it.
Yeah. And but that's basically the process. So Stats Plus keeps adding on options, and especially if you go into let's say you're looking at the draft. We don't have our draft loaded right now, but there's so many cool things in here. Someone today was asking about fan interest. So you can come in and see what the fan interest is like and filter it by year, or you can see what is it? It's the Hall of Fame metrics someone was looking for, of like where people stand. I don't know why my internet's been super wonky here, but it's taking a little while. You can see like head-to-head standings. So let's say, how many times have you and I played against each other? Now, of course, you're new to the league, so this doesn't bear much weight, but we've played each other 6 times. We're 3-3. Actually,
six times in the whole history of the league.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah. But I also like some of the other things, like the reports, the finances. Let's say you wanted to see how the finances are of someone or what their ticket prices are. You can come in here and
Oh, that's
see,
cool.
yeah. So average ticket price. You can see right now that like Arizona is charging $60 a ticket.
$60.
Yeah. So are the Mets.
Jeez,
Nashville's
robbing
Nashville's
people.
charging 69.
God damn.
I'm curious though. I don't see attendance numbers here. That's interesting. I wonder why. I'll have to find out. Um, but it's pretty powerful stuff. Um, you can create a short list if you wanted to keep track of players. I mean, I don't spend as much time as I should on here just because it's so time consuming.
There's so much. There's
There's
so
so
much.
much, yeah, but it is powerful. So anyway, one thing I do like, and Mike, who runs Arizona, pointed this out before. Well, this is actually kind of cool. Stat of the day is kind of neat. It will show you, a couple things there. Best performances, batting, pitching. That's kind
That's
of cool.
green.
And let me try to think where this is, but the PAP is
No?
yeah, let me show it to you first. Let me just try to think about how to get there. Team stats, pitching. Okay, yeah. So is it here? I'm sorry, I don't mean to take up so much of your time. No, it's not there. It is player stats. Yeah. All right, here it is. So it's under player stats, and then you can do batting, pitching, all these things. I'm going to pitching, and all the way over. This is pitcher abuse points, and so
For
basically
what?
pitcher abuse points.
Abuse
So
points. The hell's
yes,
that?
how bad is that pitcher being abused? All right, so for us here, it's not so bad because it looks like a lot of people have people on pitch counts, and there's different categories, and it actually tells you down here all the way in the bottom. There's the legend here, so category 5 is 133 plus
Wow.
pitches, category 4, but the idea is that it 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 tells you everything here when it was written, but that's funny because Marcus said it. But basically, it's like how much abuse your arms are taking, and the stress
Wow.
level. And this league is pretty well. I've never seen it this clean. Actually, it's pretty good. Now, this is also new for this season. I'm not sure if I can go back into other seasons, but let me see if I can pull up another league that's a little deeper into the season. Let me see here. What do I want? It's a great way to see how, make sure that your guys aren't being abused, basically. Or if you're trading for a guy, I'll come in there and see like how bad he is. Let me just go in the stats, player stats. Might have me log in, pitching, PAP. Now I'm the White Sox here. So if we see any White Sox, that's a problem. I don't see any White Sox there. But basically, we can see that these guys are kind of leading the league and he's got 3 category 5
Yeah.
pitching. That's not too bad again. Some leagues, like I said, are really, really bad. But
Well, even category 4 was what, 120 pitches or something?
yeah, 122 to 132 pitches. And so it talks about like what the stresses are and things like that, but kind of cool. Anyway,
Yeah.
heavy stuff. But yeah, so without taking up all day, all night, I know we covered a lot of stuff really quick. I talked most of the time, but any questions, anything I missed, anything you want me to cover again real quick?
I mean, one thing I was curious about was I know we briefly talked about him before, but was the defensive efficiency numbers.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't quite understand. I think there was 2 categories.
Yep.
Yeah, that we were talking about or looking about.
Yeah.
If you go to that center field guy, green guy,
Yeah.
go to his fielding stats, and then go to I think you have to go to his career.
Yeah.
So what was he looking at? EFF and
I
the zone rating.
yeah, I like to use his own rating personally.
Okay, so what
Um,
do what do those numbers mean?
yeah, so and there are people who like to use different numbers. So my way isn't the only way.
Yeah.
nor is it the best way. But again, and someone may correct me on this, but basically like 0 is the baseline. And
Right.
so you basically want to, when you get into these numbers here, pardon me, when you're in double digits, it's really good. So 22 is fucking amazing. You probably want a gold glove this year. And let me see here. 2029, all these numbers up, all these little awards up here.
Yeah.
If you hover over them, they tell you what they did. Yeah, 2029 Gold Glove Award
Yeah.
winner. So basically, when you're in like the high teens, you're like these areas, you're Gold Glove category. I bet
Yeah.
he won a Gold Glove in 33. Yeah, 32, 31. He won a Gold Glove for multiple years because these numbers basically represent Gold Glove caliber. So he only played for you in 33 games last year, and he was already 3.6. So if you were to extrapolate that into a full season, he's probably back up to double digits.
I just don't know what it means.
Well, it's I guess kind of like anything. Like if you wouldn't know what batting average means if you weren't brought
I'm
up with
sure I
it.
could Google it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so it's basically I like to use it because it's kind of almost, for me, again, someone may correct me, almost like a catch-all based on how uh how efficient they are in not only fielding but also making errors. um you know like did I say range already? Range, errors, and just overall fielding at their position. So it's not just one thing. It takes all those elements and packs them into one. So
Yeah.
you could have a guy with like great range or great arm, but he, let's say
It's
your
not very
third,
fast.
yeah, or let's say your third baseman, right? He's got the arm for infield, but he probably has a negative field rating because his range is so poor, right?
Right.
And he's not, and his errors are average, and he's turned double play. So if we go into his fielding stats, we go into his career fielding stats. Like last year, he was just like 0.3. So
Wow.
he was just above, which is fine. That's that, like, he's not hurting you, but he's not helping you.
Yeah.
Now he only played 13
Yeah.
games.
He's a rookie, I think.
Right. I'm trying to think, like, you have a lot of new guys playing here, but let's say
Yeah.
Jim Long. I know he played in outfield last year, or Ramos played in the outfield last year a decent
Yeah.
amount, right? So we go to his fielding stats and career fielding stats. And 34, he played 94 games in left field. He was minus 3.6, right?
Yeah. It's not good, right?
Not like killer, but obviously you want your guys to be plus.
Right.
Um, and he played 23 games in right field, and he was also negative there. So he's a negative defender. When you played him, I don't even know you ran the team yet this year, but in 2023, he played only left. He played 122 games in left field. He was minus 7.8. Like, that's pretty awful. That's like Kyle Schwarber esque,
Right.
And again, I think to me, I kind of view it as, and there might be a better definition, someone may know better, but it's kind of like a catch-all for all the defensive metrics, kind of put into a number that's trying to give you a baseline. This guy's probably pretty decent. Let's see, fielding stats, career. Wow, this is his first year. Huh? Hasn't played before at all.
No, how's that possible? I don't even know where I got him from. I forgot.
You signed him as a
I
minor
think
league free agent.
I picked him up, yeah, or something.
Yeah, he's got no batting stats. He's like a rookie basically.
31-year-old rookie. How's that
He
possible?
might have come from uh entered the COVID league. Okay, signed a minor league contract. So he signed with you in 33. Did not elect for free agency. So yeah, you signed him as like a free agent out of Cuba. Every year we get a couple guys that just come in as like free agent from international. Picture like,
I think I do remember that
yeah.
actually.
I mean, obviously this is a different degree, not exactly the same, but like let's say like a guy like the Gurriel brothers, or Shohei Ohtani, things like that.
I
But
think my scout
he might have
brought him
found him.
to my
Yeah.
attention or something. I'm like, oh, he looks pretty good defensively.
Yep. He might have found him. Yeah. Let's say we go to my team really quick, just because I'm only because I'm familiar with them. And then, oops, I put it under KC. So if we go to my graphic deck chart here, let's say Tatis, right? He is serviceable at third base, like he's decent, but if we went to his fielding stats and career fielding stats, you can see that in 1934 in 2034 at third base, he was like just below average somehow.
Right.
You know,
That
and
gives you a pretty good baseline.
yeah, exactly. Whereas Colt Palmer, I played him in a couple different spots, and he only had 1 year. But in 34, he played mostly at third base, and he was also just below average, but a little bit above in at second. You know, whereas a guy like my backup middle infielder, um, this dude, pretty much a monster defensively. You go into his career fielding stats, he doesn't play that much, but you can see that he played 58 games, started at shortstop or second base, I'm sorry, and he was 6.7, which is excellent for a little bit of time. And he played 19 games starting at short and was, 1.1. So
And that stuff significantly helps the pitching.
yeah, exactly. So I, especially in those key spots,
Yeah.
first base is always going to be something that I will slack over, if out of any position, compared to, let's say, shortstop.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of real baseball teams do that too.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, all right, cool, brother. Well, I don't want to make it too long. I'm sure you have stuff to do. I got stuff to do. But I think the defensive stuff is actually a topic that a lot of people will have different takes on. I'm sure when I get Mike from Arizona on here, he might have a different take. And I know Rich and also our Nashville GM have their own history and take. So something to at least see if maybe if you want to type it into the question area on Slack and see if people have different preferences. I can do it. I'm always curious. But sweet. Any other questions?
No, I think that's it for now.
Yeah.
It's enough data for my brain there.
Yeah, exactly. I think we got it. All right. Well, you and I will be seeing each other soon as we got a trip to Pittsburgh coming up. That should be
Hells
fun.
yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. I'll catch you soon.
All right,
All
later.
right. Later.